All right. So, I'm back, bro. I'm back. Um, Name a player you were out on. Never got into a Toon hype, never will. Fair. Drake London being overvalued, whatever. Kyron, each game makes it more obvious how close him and Corum are. I think that here's my thing on this, and I'm a guy who drafts a lot of both. Actually, we can go ahead and take a look here to see who I've actually drafted a lot of. Obviously, you can see Kyron here at number one. Scroll down here a little bit, or why don't we just do it the more efficient way that I coded out? Where we take a look at the Rams offense. Kyron, number one running back. Number 20, we still have Blake Corum. So, pretty, pretty solid there. Now, I finally am getting the opportunity to go ahead and say that, ooh, and I'm going to move Parker Washington a little bit up. I don't want to be that guy. Alec Pierce. Now, we're going to talk about the Alec Pierce news, but to me now, Tyler Warren might as well be better than Brian Thomas Jr. for me. Because this Alec Pierce news is not that good of a thing to hear. So PRP, let's take a look at what. All right, they don't believe it. Now, while you can walk, you can do whatever you want. Again, not a doctor, but full functionality doesn't return to your leg. This is a professional athlete whose main thing is his speed and his route running. If we look at Alec Pierce stats, there's a pretty clear and cut difference between him and other receivers where he was tied for 73rd in receptions and had the 19th most yards, 1,000 yards on under 50 receptions. How do you get that? You run elite routes and you burn everyone behind you. A second PRP injection means that every time that he's putting down his foot, he will have issues for the next 3 to 6 months, maybe. Now, it's not 100% guaranteed. Again, professional athlete, his blood might be a lot better than other people's. But to me, Tyler Warren is an absolute smash. And if we look here, where did I have my guy? Alec Pierce. I'll put him at the top of tier 10 here. But yeah, there's no way I'm willing to take him otherwise. And let's take Josh Downs here. And we'll move him up a little bit. RJ Harvey, I'm going to give him a slight edge where I kind of want him more than like Quentin Johnson. Not more than Quentin Johnson. I want Quentin Johnson up here. But I want him more than Jaden Reed. I kind of want him more than Cortland Sutton, honestly. His receiving optionality is just so powerful for me. And then if we take a look at a player like J.K. Dobbins, he's got to have to fall. Where Chris Rodriguez and him are in a very similar tier. I would take Jordan Mason over both, honestly. Um, and I think J.K. Dobbins just benefits from being in a better offense. So I would be more willing to take J.K. Dobbins for that. And I think that he is probably, as far as pure runners go, way better. But at this point, not too interested in him. Now we're going to take the preseason darling here, Jonah Coleman. We're going to move him up here. Honestly, I'll take him above Aaron Jones. I'm going to move Aaron Jones down a little bit. He's already very low in my rankings where he's 104. I think Aaron Jones is dust. I'm honestly never drafting him. I own him in 3% of leagues, so that's roughly two. Oh, sorry, no, that's 3 leagues now that I have officially hit 100 drafts. But yeah, PRP injections, they numb the site, they put it down. 100% true. That guy isn't wrong. He claims he's done it before. The issue is you can walk, you can probably run within 2-3 weeks maybe. To become an NFL level player where you need extreme agility, and we see what, these unique issues with the ankle and with the knee and with the toe can do to a player's mobility for years going forward, I am not willing to take the gamble on Alec Pierce, and I don't think the Colts are going to overdo their gamble because, again, you screw this up with him, he's not playing for a while. You spent a lot of money on this guy. Corgi is finally filling up. Obviously, we can't do this tournament anymore because it's a single entry. The slow puppy literally has 1.4% still. I don't know how. Maybe I'll enter into one today, but not really been entering as much as I was before. It is my largest draft set, and that's not even updated yet. Sorry, it's not largest yet, but it will be. And I think my ADPs might be screwed up again. I'll check that momentarily, but for now, please do ignore them. Ooh, is it good to be back? But yeah, while we are waiting, let's take a look here. Achilles will play week 1. Now, I do think that they're gonna maybe have to see the different kind of rotations that he's playing in. May see a lot more Luke Farrell in this offense because of that, but I don't know how well he'll be able to block off the Achilles. We are kind of rushing him back. I don't really know why, but yeah. I don't know how these walls kind of look load bearing to me. Draft is starting. What position do we get? 3. Pretty sure I've taken Ja'Marr Chase in this draft before. Take a look at wide receivers. I know Chase isn't that low. Maybe he is. Hold on. Puppy 3, we have taken him in one of these. Alright. I mean, this is not talking about the fact that they spent $2.2 billion on a stadium. And yeah, as that guy in the comments said, 850 million taxpayer dollars to not even have perfect views. Have a bunch of obstructions. He's managing a little sore, but he's fine. Honestly, it's hard to trust anything that Kyle Shanahan says. Would I be risking my hard-earned money on Christian McCaffrey? No. Straight up no. We'll see how far he falls in this. I did a draft this morning to see if he was going to fall. I don't think he will. Monday absence downplayed is the headline. We see Amon-Ra St. Brown go at 6. McCaffrey goes at 7. Now, 7 is where I was willing to take him before, and I had updated that in my rankings. I'm going to go back and say that I would rather have Jonathan Taylor. And honestly, these players are just so similarly ranked for me that it's not a huge deal. Obviously, you can prefer who you want. I'm going to take my guys. But I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor over Christian McCaffrey. Now, the offense did get a little bit worse here. Kind of thinking about it now. I don't think the Alec Pierce injury is going to be enough of an effect. I think the quarterback play will matter more, just because I don't think Alec Pierce is even the best ball-catching option. I think it's Tyler Warren. So, I'm going to keep Tyler Warren as my main option here. Oh my god. Jettas went in the second round. Because we have a guy who takes Kenneth Walker and Chase Brown. That is disgusting. James Cook, Derrick Henry. It's somewhat uncommon, but alright. Feel like it would be a little bit better as Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, even if it's a little bit more common. Achane goes. Did all of the big running back names go? I feel like we're missing one. We're not. I was going to say, because Achane doesn't go until all the other guys go. Somehow, 32-year-old Derrick Henry is going before Devon Achane, who is in the prime of his career, a receiving role, and the only offensive threat in Miami. Probably the third most talented player here as well, behind only Gibbs and Bijan. Drake London goes off to the ARSB team. Neighbors goes off here. I'm going to avoid taking Bowers, and no, I'm not. I don't end up liking teams I take Bowers in, but my thing with taking Bowers here is that I'm getting him at a slight discount, where I'm getting him 2 picks behind ADP. I have the opportunity to take a running back in the next round. The receiving options here are not the greatest, and I don't feel good enough about Rashee Rice to go out of my way and reach on him. I would rather let the Gibbs team take a very common loadout and have a wide receiver 2 and a dude who went to jail while recovering from knee surgery on their team. But yeah, this is why you don't do it, because you get Trey McBride here. And Trey McBride honestly might be better than Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was elite, but again, Trey McBride might do some crazy things. But once again, no idea what that offense will be. Could be interesting here. AJ Brown at 20 is kind of like a vintage drop here. I think it's because wide receiver is very cheap in this draft. I'm hoping, since there are 4 teams with double running back here, that we're going to see some wide receivers go off the board here. But currently we're not seeing that. But that was also the 2 teams that were double wide receiver. Trey McBride goes off here. That's another name that we want to see go off as soon as possible. Olave goes. Igbuka goes. So, pretty interesting here. I don't have a lot of Genti, and honestly, if Genti breaks out this season, I'm okay with it. I don't feel the greatest about Genti. I don't think that anyone should. I don't think he's that great of a player. Now, Garrett Wilson at 37. Tet McMillan at 38. I will not be referring to him as what his mother wants. Feel like he kind of got a clean escape getting away with just saying the N-word on the live stream. Kind of shows who watches sports. There's no way they take Travis Etienne Jr. They're trying to build the entire New Orleans Saints. Waddle goes at 41. Loveland at 42. Now that is another name that I have not updated in my rankings. I'm going to be taking Loveland way higher. I'm going to be taking Burden way lower in these kind of drafts. Now, let's see. My apologies on the sounds in the background. Can't really do anything about that. I need a little bit of airflow. We're going to take David Montgomery. I'm a huge buyer, if you can't tell, of the Bashal Tune. And so is this guy who has Gibbs and Tootin. I honestly respect it. His team is looking way nicer than mine is. It's hard to draft from the 3. I have a good amount of drafts with the 3, and honestly, you might be getting the best player in fantasy in Ja'Marr Chase, but it's hard to get a team that you really like. I'm going to take a wide receiver, a guy who's going to be a guaranteed running back 1 in his offense. Again, he is a running back 1 in a very bad offense, and generally that doesn't mean you score a lot of points. I just watched a video by Flock Fantasy himself talking about how little they actually hit. However, by his statistics, out of the bottom 12, the running backs in the bottom 12 offenses, 2 of them hit every year. And if any one of them is going to hit, it's going to be Quinshon Judkins, who mainly was a faller in the NFL draft due to, outside situations. This is the Cleveland Browns we're talking about, an organization that historically does not give a shit about that. And we see Loveland and Warren go up here. I would never take Luther Burden in the 4th round anymore. I would be taking him maybe in the 5th here. And wow, did Rome Odunze fall? Rome Odunze fell here. I would assume that Rome Odunze would move up. If he's not going to move up, drafting at this end of the board is going to be super interesting. We have a very unbalanced team. I was going to say balanced. We're hoping that these 2 running backs are slams. Generally speaking, they're not, but it's not too much I could do here. I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying my best. Obviously, you can see who we want here. They're highlighted very clearly. Am I skeptical of Joe Burrow? Or not Joe? Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah. Do I think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback overall than him? No. Do I think he's a better pick in fantasy, though? Probably. Oh, and this guy is probably pissed the fuck off. I'm going to take Hurts here because sue me. If you are, again, Ja'Marr Chase, his biggest weeks last year were not even with Joe Burrow under center. You know how crazy that is? Joe Burrow is a Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson merchant. And, it helps when you have this guy on your team. What we could do is take 2. Instead, I'm going to take Quentin Johnston to bolster up our wide receiver position here so we can have 3 receivers. I would rather just let Burrow fall. We could have taken both and be done at quarterback. We already do have the elite tight end, though, so we're going to have a lot more. I'm assuming there's going to be a 6 running back draft. Wow, Brooks at 76. I want to see how high up RJ Harvey goes, because we do have the notification from Underdog here that let's see if I can find this. Soft tissue injury, gonna be fine. Left practice with the trainers. He's a guy who always is getting injured. If it's a soft tissue injury, there is no guarantee that he will be ready for week 1, given that we are less than a month away from the NFL season, which I'm so happy to say that out loud. Yeah, Harvey at 83. It's about where I would take him. Makai Lemon falls to 80. That is a great pick for the guy at 80 there. Lawrence goes to the Parker Washington team. That kind of makes sense. Burrow, Drake May, same team. They're both unstacked. This team is not looking that good, honestly. Kind of just clicking the top of ADP. Well, I guess Drake London's not, but. Dowdle goes off with the RJ Harvey team. This is where drafts are made. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I know exactly who I want here, and now who I definitely do not want here. And we'll see exactly who we get, but I have a strong feeling I'm gonna get who I want. And if I don't, I'll cry. Alright. Now, don't get me wrong. Jonathan Brooks, if you look at pure talent, is probably better than Chuba Hubbard. However, not often are you going to be able to get this combination. On top of that, Rico Dowdle played extremely well, and who did they default back to, regardless of how well he was playing? Chuba Hubbard. I think it'll take a lot more from Jonathan Brooks to actually break out here. Because in the playoff game, they defaulted to Chuba Hubbard. He was RB1. So I think that's a very important point to be making. I do want a wide receiver here. Did Underdog just freeze? Diggs goes. Okay, so I'm not reaching up on Unworthy. I will take Dart here. And we're just going to have to deal with the fact that we don't have a receiver 4 yet. That's kind of unfortunate. I was hoping that one of Michael Wilson... If Jordan Addison made it to us last round, I was okay with taking him. I wasn't sure if Michael Wilson would have been taken off. He did get taken, so it was unfortunate, but yeah. Rave Chapel here at the end. We'll see what they do. Dobbins goes off at 105. Not that late, honestly, for someone who, even if he's suffering a soft tissue injury, I don't know how long that takes for J.K. Dobbins, my guy. The pure rushing running back who loses his elite left tackle, pretty skeptical on him. Will be honest. Kenny Gainwell. Receiving running back flex play. Not a bad pick. He's probably going to take a tight end here. Like Kelsey, Kittle, Golden. Got 6 receivers. Jordan Love goes. Team has 5 running backs. We're going to slam receiver here. Because we started off very hot with our receivers, but we kind of slowed down. So... Myers is such an easy pick for me. However, I will take KC here in the one exception where he's probably going to be the wide receiver 1 again in a probably pretty bad offense. But more important to me than the offense in this case is the fact that, you know, he's a wide receiver 1, which means I can probably play him every week. Versus Quentin Johnson, you don't know if you can play that guy every week. Dude has flops all the time. I also thought I might be able to get Jakobi Meyers on the way back. Clearly not true. We will be able to get Jaden Higgins, who is one of my favorite names in fantasy and who's a lot of people's favorite names in fantasy. I think people are saying the offseason, but I don't know if you guys remember towards the end of last season, and we can just pull this up real quick, where Houston Texans wide receivers Jaden Higgins, the end of the year started having a really good season. I mean, in the playoffs against New England, 10 targets for 59 yards. Obviously, Dalton Schultz went out, so it was a pretty different target scheme, but it is refreshing to see that. He had 2 TDs. He had an 88-yard receiving game. Like this one over here, 11.9 fantasy, or we'll do half PPR. 8.9 fantasy points. In this game over here. Fuck, I can't do math. Did math all day. 5.4 fantasy points. 3.3 fantasy points. Sure. Not 3.3 here. 9.3. After that, he had the upside to go for 16.8 fantasy points. Now, over here was pre-breakout, obviously. We had 1 reception for 17 yards. With this offense needing to be a little bit more dynamic, with CJ Stroud being in a make it or break it year, am I a little bit more optimistic? Oh my god, Stroud goes off here. I was kind of looking towards taking Stroud, which something I strategize when I have Higgins on my team, but not even a Nico Collins team, just by the location of that draft. So very weird reachy pick, because you could have reached on Malik Willis, who has rushing upside at that position, but hey, someone else's draft, I'm not going to hate. Currently, I feel like we're doing pretty good, because if I'm taking a wide receiver 2, I don't want to take wide receiver 2 in Tennessee. I don't want to take wide receiver 2 in Carolina. I don't want to take Khalil Shakir. I don't want to take a 90-year-old Deebo Samuel after his past 2 seasons. Shaheed, if we counted return yards, I would take him in the first round. Since we don't, not very interested in him. We'll take Stribling here, where I think Stribling has a lot of upside. Again, I'm a 49er fan. I'm hoping he'll turn up to be very good, but let's see what we have here. He's at 159. I don't think I'm going to get him. I'm not willing to reach that hard on him, but I do think that he is the best receiving option name here. Again, I'm going for guys who will get the volume, and I'm a big supporter of drafting Jalen Nailor. So I may go out of my way here and just take Nailor. I'm also thinking about taking my next tight end. But yeah, let's go ahead and take Nailor. That way we can take our third QB in the next round. And then slam running backs on the way home. Our third running back can be, our third quarterback can be Mendoza. Third quarterback could be Kirk Cousins based on the area. When you have two strong QBs like you have Jackson Dart and Jalen Hurts, I am okay with taking these lower tier quarterbacks which have some upside in Kirk Cousins and in Fernando Mendoza. Now let's look at Mendoza's injury history because I'm actually pretty curious about that. If we take a look here, I'm going to go to Football Reference. So if we look at his college stats, 9 games played, 11 games played, 16 games played. So played a good amount of games. I don't know if 9 is not a full season at all. So wasn't always playing, but pretty good when he did play. Jonah Coleman goes off at ADP, which is, I think, a horrendously bad take. Again, I have him high enough where I was considering taking him at 147. Probably should have. Regretting the Nailor pick a little bit, but Aaron Rodgers at 158, Gino at 159. It's looking like it's going to be a QB expensive draft where, yeah, Mendoza is 186, but he is the next QB off the board. So we're not even in the 70s yet. I'm not willing to reach that hard. So I may not get Mendoza unless he falls to 190 somehow. This is where Kirk Cousins becomes super available. Bigsby is the guy I wanted. Again, I think this is something that isn't really talked about too much. But, if we take a look at, Saquon Barkley. It's not someone who's prided on how often he stays healthy. Alright, we're going to take Sharb. Now, missed basically the entire season here. He has been relatively healthy throughout his career, but I really don't know what to say here. He does have 2,000 yards as his upside. Again, he doesn't run the ball enough for that. Tank Bigsby has a lot of upside to me. We may take Dalton Schultz here, where out of the tight ends here, probably my favorite name. Maybe it's a Stanford bias coming out here. Maybe. Probably. But I'm not going to say anything about that. We don't need another tight end, which makes our life a lot easier. Mendoza goes at 172 somehow. So we will be targeting a different type QB name in the future, but Freiermuth at 174. This draft is weird. Sadiq goes 177. Lloyd at 167. Jesus Christ. I did not see that. Marshawn Lloyd with the crazy reach up here. I'm actually a big fan of taking Dylan Sampson. In this draft, I'm not going to be because obviously I'm so invested in a different Cleveland Brown. But, which speaking of which, we also have that option of taking the Brown. So, that may be something that we do. But now we're going to just straight look at running backs. Favorite names, take the upside guys, and be well off here. This guy finally takes 2 regular picks in Gunnar Helm and TJ Hawkinson after having no tight ends. And like reaching on RJ Harvey. Oh, CD and Saquon. I feel like that's not happening too often. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not super often. And what is wrong with my underdog? Why is it lagging like this? I am very scared that I'm going to get auto drafted. Oh, okay. Alright, Ty Johnson does have the calf injury. Just means that Ray Davis has the most upside out of any running back at this range. Again, does that mean a lot? Not really, but I'm going to take that. My next pick is also going to be another high upside running back. So, take the guys that you can. Especially considering I'm starting to find more peace with these receivers like Jacoby Lane, Pat Bryant, Cyrus Allen. Guys who are going in the final 3. And we're, okay. It's about to reload the page again. But Emmett Johnson. Again, Kenneth Walker is a guy who gets injured pretty often. We take a look at Kenneth Walker's stats. Missed 2 games, missed 6 games, played 17 games for the first time in his career. In his career also. It's only been a 1,000-yard running back twice. Once was in his rookie season. Once was last year. He played all 17 games last year to have those 1,000 yards. Within his receiving yards. Not a crazy receiver. What did he do better in? The playoffs. Where he was able to come off here with 4 TDs and 313 yards and win Super Bowl MVP. Does that make him any better of a running back, any healthier of a running back? The reason why Kenneth Walker even had that health is because the Seahawks went out of their way to limit his usage by bringing in Zach Charbonnet and keeping him healthy to the point where they were able to finally unleash him when Zach Charbonnet was gone, and we saw his upside. It's massive. At the same time, Emmett Johnson great upside for a guy who will probably get some usage in general, who may snag a few touchdowns here and there, but also is in an elite offense playing with Patrick Mahomes, who doesn't have many receiving options. I mean, we have Cyrus Allen, an absolute nobody, going at 184 here. Rashee Rice is not good at football. He's just fed a lot because he is the best football receiver on that team in 2026. So there's a lot to think about there, and yeah, I'm excited there. We see Keenan Allen going up because we have speculation that these teams that are getting injured may start looking into it. Not the Niners per se, but there was another team that had a lot of injuries at receiver that I can't think of the name of right now. Kalen Black, probably a good pick. I'm not going to be smart enough to make it. It's hard for me to take a guy with an abductor injury versus a dude who has a little bit of soreness. Now, is what Kyle Shanahan and that entire regime says about our injuries constantly diluted, misleading? Yes. However, I will remain under the impression that if they're coming out here saying Jordan James got his rib injury, Kalen Black got his abductor injury, Mike Evans has a hamstring injury, I don't think that they're just going to lie about some tightness that Christian McCaffrey has. Now, again, last time he had some sort of tightness, it affected him in a very negative way. He missed basically the entire season. However, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that there's a room for another running back in a Christian McCaffrey offense because he's so good that it's hard to ever take him off the field. That's what Kyle Shanahan feels. However, I don't have anything else to say about that. We kind of made up for a running back position where Zach Charbonnet is going to play in the latter half of the season. We're going to have Chuba Hubbard, who will probably work his way in the beginning half of the season and may lose his job over time, but is probably going to play otherwise. David Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins, we're just betting on to be healthy and develop well early in the offense before they get figured out, per se. We'll take Shedeur here. Get some more Cleveland Brown shares in the rare upside case where Todd Monken is a genius and gets this team going. But yeah, I really hope y'all enjoyed that draft we just did, and I will see you guys in the next one.